So Wemby's debut at MSG was not pretty. As we know, Wembanyama today debuted at MSG. I'm gonna talk about today's games, but I just wanted to talk about this game. He debuted at Madison Square Garden, and it's historically known that a lot of the all-time greats, when they go there for the first time, they have a big game or they show out, but not for Victor. Victor Wembanyama in this game played like trash. He had 14 points. He was 4 for 14 from the field. He made 0 threes and he made 6 free throws, which he shot pretty well. He basically didn't do anything for his team when it comes to what you expect from him. Wemby was just not there today. When you expect things from Wembanyama, you expect him to be great. But honestly, I think this Knicks debut is more of the fact that he faced a team which their center is strong, he's big, and he gets around. And I think this mostly has to do with the fact that we've seen Victor against a lot of great teams, but we've also seen him around some teams in which he gets to have his way around their centers. He's played against the Suns, which obviously, apart from Yusuf Nurkic, don't really do much in terms of size. He's played against teams like the Rockets, the Mavericks, the Warriors, which all have handleable centers. And in my opinion, a guy like Mitchell Robinson, a guy who's that big, who's that strong, and which has that much, weight to him, it really becomes a problem for a guy like Wemby, right, to really contain him in any way. The other, game I wanted to talk about was the Suns versus Bulls. The game, right now, it's in its final stages, but really what I wanted to talk about wasn't that much about the game. It was about Bradley Beal finally playing with the Suns. He's made 3 threes at a 50% clip. But he's been pretty inefficient from the field, and in my opinion, I just wanted to say shout out to Bradley Beal. Even though the Suns have had some health issues, he finally made his first appearance with the team. It's good to see when that type of stuff happens. When you get to see those good teams playing, and especially when you get to bring in that type of piece and he plays the first game for you. That's really important. Another thing I want to talk about is the Clippers. The Clippers look awful. They just lost against the Brooklyn Nets. And it's not about the Nets' fault. It's James Harden. James Harden had 5 assists with 5 turnovers. He had 12 points and he shot badly from the field. He shot under 50%. And he had 8 defensive rebounds, which is just kind of stat padding. In my opinion, the problem with James Harden and Russell Westbrook is that they're 2 ball hogs. With Russell Westbrook, it worked well because Russell Westbrook was locked in on defense. He wanted to play his part. He was consistently going at their throats just to make it make sense. But when you see a guy like Harden, which just comes in, lazy attitude, extremely bad temperament, just wants the ball all the time, and this is supposed to be your leader, it kind of reflects badly on the team when that's the type of guys that you're entrusting to run your franchise. The next game I wanted to talk about was this Philly versus Celtics game. Philly is officially the number 1 seed in the East. They haven't lost a game at home. And really, even though they've played 5 home games, which is a lot, I do want to say that Joel Embiid is looking very good. This is why we have Joel Embiid in the MVP conversations every year. But this game, he dropped 27, 10 rebounds with 4 assists, 4 blocks, and a steal on 50% from the field. He did all of this. He maintained his own, and he beat this Celtics team even though they played pretty well. The only thing that I will say about the Celtics is that they shot terribly, but in my opinion, that was bound to come for a team which, plays that many guys who need that many shots. I do want to say that shout out to Drew Holiday. You know, I just think that I just want to say shout out to him for being the most efficient guy on his team in the starting lineup. And shout out to Kristaps Porzingis for dropping 29 points, but still not being able to get the W. The next game I want to talk about was this, you know, Wizards versus Hornets game. Even though I know it wasn't that interesting of a matchup, I do think there is something to be said about the way that Jordan Poole's been playing recently. He's been playing like trash, and he's really been consistently one of the worst players, right? Who is considered a first or second option. And I think that is because he needs to get used to making his own shots by himself and not relying on his team to make it for him like in Golden State. Because he's consistently been pampered with a Stephen Curry, with a Klay Thompson, with a Draymond Green, which all have fed him and really kept him well when it comes to the basketball. But really, if we're being 100% honest, I feel like it's time for Jordan Poole to make that next step, start playmaking, and really be a number one player for his team. Another game I wanted to talk about was the Rockets versus the Lakers. The Rockets absolutely smoked the Lakers, and I believe that now it's just passed from being a problem, right, to being a huge concern. The Lakers don't win games when they're away from their home. They haven't won a game away from Los Angeles, and that's concerning when you have a team which is supposed to be competing in the playoffs away from home, competing for a championship, and they can't even win games. LeBron had a pretty okay game. D'Angelo Russell had a pretty good game. And I'm talking as if the game is over because I don't think that the Lakers are coming back. And I believe that even though Anthony Davis is injured, right, and did not play well, I do believe that there is something to be said when the Houston Rockets just absolutely destroy you guys in 3 quarters. The last thing I want to talk about, and the last game that I want to talk about, is this Pelicans and Timberwolves game. I just want to say, the Timberwolves are up like 30 points right now. So I didn't really come here. Excuse me, that time was a water bottle. But I don't want to talk about really the result. I just want to talk about, more of the fact that Minnesota looks great. They just beat the Pelicans by 30. Well, no, by like 25. And really the biggest teller of this was the fact that, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns both played well. And the fact that those two guys in this game, after Karl Anthony Towns had so many stinkers, and the fact that this team has been playing so well, if they keep playing like this, then they could actually be up there and compete for something next season. Except in other games today, and I really want to focus on something. The NBA is lacking depth. I don't know what's been happening recently with the Lakers, with teams like the Pelicans, with teams even like the Celtics recently, which these teams are lacking depth. It seems like the NBA really needs more depth. They need more complementary pieces. And these great teams have just focused so much on putting stars together and pairing stars up that they have really forgotten about depth. Milwaukee's getting beat by Detroit. The Lakers are getting blown out by the Rockets. What are we looking at here? That Brooklyn is beating the Clippers. And in my opinion, it all comes down to depth and how teams have forgotten it in the NBA. With all this being said, I do want to say that shout out to these teams, the teams which are winning and losing and playing today. I do want to say that these games are very interesting and I'm excited to see the rest of the season. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And for next video, I just, I want to see something. Like, what do you guys think, seriously, about this Suns trio and what their ceiling is? I'll see you next video.